A one-time $10,000 investment into an ultra high yielding ETF like YMAG, MSTY, or even ULTY does have the potential to pay you a massive amount of income generation from a relatively small amount of money invested. But it's also safe to say that not every single ultra high yielding ETF is created equally, and certain ones are definitely better than others in my opinion. But 3 ultra high yielding ETFs that are definitely worth looking into in general is ULTY, MSTY, and YMAG. Now in this video, I want to go through these 3 ETFs, share with you guys what each of these ETFs are, what they have to offer, and even their performance since they started trading. Then later on, I'm going to share with you guys what a $10,000 initial investment would have turned into investing into every single one of these ETFs if we backtest them all the way back since inception. So if you're a dividend focused investor, and especially if you're interested into some higher yielding ETFs, definitely stick around, drop a like down below, and let's get right into it. My A to Z dividend investing ebook has helped countless dividend investors get started with their journey. And my custom dividend tracker that I'm constantly using here on the channel has also helped so many investors stay on track and allow them to see their dividend income in real time. Well, today I have another treat for you guys. I'm not only going to offer you my A to Z dividend investing ebook and the custom dividend tracker, but also just for a short limited time, I'm going to be adding in my brand new weekly dividend blueprint ebook to show you how you can get started with weekly dividend ETFs and add this into your investing strategy. This offer is not going to last long, so go ahead and click the first link down below in my description, and you're going to get both ebooks and the custom dividend tracker bundle. But like I said, please act fast because this won't be around for long. Now let's get back into the video. So first of the 3, let's talk a little bit about YMAG. This is YMAG, the YMAX Magnificent 7 Fund of Option Income ETFs. I've talked a lot about MAGI as of recently. In the last few weeks, I've been obsessed with buying MAGI because just like this ETF, it offers Magnificent 7 exposure, which I definitely want more exposure to in my long-term portfolio, but through a high income strategy. Now, YMAG, as I film this video, has a 24.75% distribution rate, and this distribution rate is going to jump around from time and time again because the weekly paid distributions are sort of all over the place. The most recent one was 7 cents more or less. Before that, 20 cents. Before that, 15 cents. So again, the forward distribution rate is going to change ongoingly. In case you guys, just like myself, do want to have some Magnificent 7 exposure through a high income strategy, it says this ETF is actively managed and seeks to generate current income. The fund is a fund of funds, meaning that it primarily invests in assets in shares of other ETFs. And this is rather than in securities of individual companies. The fund may invest directly in securities and financial instruments in which one or more underlying yield max ETFs defined below invests. So the cool thing about investing into YMAG is that in one single ETF, you're getting exposure into a high income Meta strategy, a high income Nvidia strategy, a Google one, an Apple one, a Microsoft one, all the Mag 7, all inside one ETF product. Now, a few things to mention about YMAG. Obviously, it is a weekly payer. The return since inception has been pretty good, 43.51% since inception. This is annualized out at 27.15% per year. Now, the distributions aren't extremely consistent, but like I often say with ultra high yielding ETFs, even on the lower end of things, the distribution rate is still rather high. Next up on the list, we have MSTY. This is MSTY, the YMAX MSTR option strategy ETF, which of course offers exposure but does not directly invest into MSTR. Now, this ETF is very high yield. It pays out monthly, but it's currently running at an 80% distribution rate. The total return since inception for MSTY, which we're going to talk more about towards the end of the video, where I compare all these different names, is absolutely incredible, 332% since inception, or 176 per year so far. Now, the investment objective for MSTY, it says the fund's primary investment objective is to seek current income, which is pretty self-explanatory. The fund's secondary investment objective is to seek exposure to the share price of common stock, a MicroStrategy Incorporated, or MSTR. Now, because MSTR has been on an absolute crazy run in the last year plus, this ETF that references MSTR has been able to generate a ton of option income for investors. The most recent distribution over $1.18 per share per month, 123 before that, 147 before that. I started buying MSTY a few months ago, and honestly, for a relatively small amount of money invested, I'm receiving a massive amount of distributions every month. Now, the last ETF I want to talk about before we go through and I share with you guys which ETF would have given you the biggest total return over multiple different time frames. Lastly, we have ULTY, or the YMAX Ultra Option Income Strategy ETF, which I have been buying like crazy as of recently. Now, this ETF has a 86% distribution rate and pays at around 10 cents per share per week to investors, at least if we're looking at the last several weeks. Now, this ETF's investment objective is to see current income also. The secondary objective is to see exposure to the share price returns of the underlying securities, which are going to change often when it comes to ULTY. ULTY, generally speaking, offers exposure to very volatile single stocks, and then along with that, a cover call strategy offers a boatload of income which at least since inception, since this ETF came out, has not really offered a massive total return. But ever since there was some tweaks to this ETF strategy earlier this year, the ETF has been on fire. Now, if we stack up MSTY, ULTY, and YMAG and use total return as a metric, so this is price performance, price decay, and of course, income included inside of one metric. It's no surprise that MSTY has outperformed both these names by a mile. I mean, MSTY has outperformed almost everything by a mile throughout the market over this time frame. But on the max time frame, this is since March 1st of 2024. If you look at MSTY, 252% total return. If you look at YMAG, almost 40%. And then ULTY just over 17%. Now, funny enough, on the 1 month time frame, MSTY has actually been in a bit of a rut. Even with the massive distributions, this ETF is down in the red, where YMAG is in the number 1 position with ULTY closely behind. Now, because all three of these ETFs offer very different strategies and very different exposure as far as their underlying holdings, I think you as an investor, especially if you're trying to pick some of these ultra high yielders to add to your long-term portfolio, you need to look deeply into whatever ultra high yielding ETF you're interested in to see what it's done as far as performance historically, but maybe even more important, see what it offers exposure to. Maybe you as an investor do want a lot more exposure to the underlying MSTR. Maybe you want a lot more exposure to the Magnificent 7, like I've been wanting more as of recently. Or maybe you want to ride the roller coaster that ULTY offers. Or heck, maybe you want some diversification, maybe you want to buy a little bit of all of them. Now, like I promised, a $10,000 investment into MSTY back during inception would have turned into over $40,000 in under 1.5 years. In the last year and a half, YMAG would have turned $10,000 into almost $15,000, which is not bad whatsoever. And then ULTY, ever since inception, would have turned $10,000 into almost $12,000. But keep in mind, ever since that recent change, like I mentioned, ULTY has been on an absolute run. All to say, before I go, I do have a question for you guys down below. If I were to ask you to pick between YMAG, ULTY, and MSTY, which one of these ultra regulars would you pick and why? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.